Hello and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm Justine Reichman, your host, and today we have Hayden Fulstone. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I'm excited for a variety of reasons, but one is because from the moment I met you, I was inspired. I was inspired as an entrepreneur, as a resource, as a person that's done so much in this space and had such a positive impact in the startup community. I just want to learn more and see what I can learn from you as well as what our listeners can learn from you. And I know that there's some exciting news that just happened last week. If we're allowed to share that, maybe you could tell us a little, we could start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again. Excited to be here. I know we've had some great conversations over the last couple of months, and it's been fun to get to know you and see everything that you're growing and building. So congrats on everything you've done so far, first of all. But with Liquid IV, yeah, the company I started in, with two of my good friends back in 2012, that company, it was publicly announced earlier in September that it's being acquired by Unilever. So really cool to see that business coming from concept and growing over the last 8 years to now being acquired by one of the largest consumer product companies in the world. So pretty crazy and very surreal, and super proud of the other founder, Brandon, who's been leading that team, and the whole Liquid IV team, and just what they've been able to accomplish is really, really amazing. And it's a surreal experience, and I'm incredibly grateful and excited for that to have happened.
Yeah, it really is quite an accomplishment. So for our listeners that are not familiar with what Liquid IV is, could you maybe share a little bit about it and tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So Liquid IV is it's a 360-degree wellness brand now. So basically, we create wellness products, particularly in the hydration space. So we sell electrolyte drink mix powders. So it's basically a powder you add to water, mix it up, and will hydrate you 2 to 3 times faster than water alone. And so that was our initial product that we created, and we've since launched a sleep product and an energy multiplier product. And so our first product is called the Hydration Multiplier. Our next product is the Sleep Multiplier, and the third product is the Energy Multiplier. And we came up with the idea for Liquid IV back in 2012. One of my best friends was living on my couch at the time, Brandon, and the third founder, there were actually 3 of us, the third founder, Cameron, and I were living together in Santa Monica. And we originally had an idea for a healthy hangover remedy. And so that's where the original idea stemmed. And over time, we realized that was we were kind of cornering ourselves with that market, and the product was actually much more designed for healthy hydration and recovery there. So we decided to pivot and really focus on the healthy hydration and wellness space, and kind of grew the business through that and pivoted in that direction.
Wow, that's amazing. And so at what point did you guys, when you were building this idea and you were coming up with it and you were brainstorming, did you realize you had something that was going to be this robust and this successful?
It's funny. Yeah. I always thought, first, when we first started, I think we were a little naive and thought it would be way easier than it was. And we thought it would cost a lot less than it did. And, which is good. We had, big dreams, and we, we're all very optimistic. And then once you get going, obviously you realize how difficult and hard it is. I think there were a couple different points where we were like, oh, we can actually do this. Like there are specific moments that I can remember where we saw some success that was a good indicator. Early on, there were points in times where I would sample the product and I'd be demoing the product in Whole Foods, and people would literally spit it out because they didn't like the taste. So there are a lot of points where I was like, oh, we're going to fail. This is no chance. But we continued to evolve and continued to improve the formula, improve the brand. I feel like you just have to continue getting better every day. And so that's really what we did with the product and the brand, was just continue to evolve it. There was a period of time we were in, I forget the exact date or year, but there was kind of like partway through, a couple years in, we were at a ECRM, a trade show in Las Vegas, and we were pitching to all these major food, drug, mass retailers like Walgreens and CVS and Rite Aid and these different ones. And we had, I think, about 40 meetings. scheduled, and we had our hotel room, and they would come to us, and it was kind of like speed dating with those retailers. And at the end of the show, we ended up, we pretty much got a yes from every retailer except for like one that just didn't make sense because they didn't sell our types of products or something. And so we pretty much had, every single one of them was basically like a yes, let's move forward. And so that was a point where we were like, wow, maybe we really have something. And at the end of the show, we ended up winning out of like, I think 250 or 300 brands. We ended up winning best new product.
Wow.
So that was a point where we were like, wow, maybe we really do have something here. We put in all this hard work, and that was incredible. So that was a moment. And then I think, when we first launched in Whole Foods, that was another moment. It was like this like big, the biggest known, natural specialty, grocer. So that was huge. And then and then later on, anytime we launched into a bigger retailer like Costco or whatever, that was always another real indicator of like, wow, this is really people are really starting to like it, starting to take off, and our website started to do better. Amazon started to do better, getting a lot of reviews, and just started to get all that traction. So
that's awesome. What a story, and what a result, right? Like that's a great exit.
Yeah, it's I think when we first started, we didn't really know what we wanted to do with it, if it was gonna, if we were gonna try to get acquired or whatever. But over time, we definitely wanted that as a possibility to get acquired by a larger company who could really help us. And I think what's cool about Unilever is they seem like a really great partner. And I mean, I haven't been super involved with with them or dealing with them or anything, but just everything I've heard and read about them is they're amazingly involved with give back and sustainability. And they're kind of like a perfect partner for a brand like Liquid IV. So I think both sides are really excited about it.
Yeah, I bet. And I'm sure that, you guys have some things in mind that you're hoping to be able to achieve as a result of this partnership now. What are some of the things that you're now going to be able to achieve that you might not have been able to do before?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak specifically to their plans. I'm not really, sure of them yet, but I think in general they're just a great partner that will probably open a lot of doors, both globally, probably be able to help with supply chain. I think there's just they have a lot of experience and expertise, and have been around for a long time and have done this. They're one of the best consumer products companies in the world, or the best, and so they really, really know what they're doing. And so I think it's a really good fit. The Liquid IV team is staying on and running it, as is, which is really cool too. So I think that was a good piece of that, is that the, CEO gets to continue and the rest of the team gets to continue growing it, with some lofty goals. So.
Well, that's great. So I know you were there for a while and then you left, and now you're with Cultivate. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So I was with Liquid IV from 2012 through 2018, and left the day-to-day operations. So I left my position there in marketing and give back and all the different stuff that I was doing, but transitioned into more of like an advisory role and just a founder advisor role. And I got introduced to Cultivate Advisors earlier this year, and it's cool because I was already, after I was transitioning out of Liquid IV, I got introduced to all these other startups, and I was starting to advise them. This one company called Craft Mix, they make a cocktail mix, and I was advising them and helping them grow. And so I was kind of already doing this, and I get introduced to this company, Cultivate Advisors, where it's a group of all these advisors who have all run and started their own businesses, and now they work directly with startups and small businesses to help them grow. So it's cool because I've gotten to network and meet a ton of just really cool food and beverage and CPG startups, and get into just really get into it with them and help them to scale their businesses and overcome a lot of their challenges.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that when I met you, I was super excited because here you are with the exact experience that we look to for our founders. So, because we craft at Next Gen Chef, we craft a really tailored group of mentors and resources. It's not just everyone and anyone. And to be able to have mentors with your experience and be able to share it with them, I think is a great resource. So I would imagine being around many people like that is really inspiring, and it allows you to help that many more people as a collaborative.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So our biggest, really our mission with Liquid IV was helping people live better lives. And so that's what we've been able to do with the product and the brand, and incorporating that give back mission where we donate a serving of hydration to people around the world. That was super, super important to us. And personally, my kind of what I've found over time, and a lot of this was through doing Liquid IV, and is I realized that I love helping people. And that's kind of my why too, is I love helping people with everything in just their day-to-day lives and their businesses, whatever it may be. So this is cool because it's almost like I get to give back to people by helping them with their businesses and personally a little bit too. And it's like what I really like to do. So it's a really cool fit for me in terms of what I care about.
So yeah, it's the same mission or value statement, I guess, that you're sort of still working within the same value system, but you've moved from product to service, if you will.
Right.
What inspired that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's kind of a combination of both, because the service that I am providing a service now, but I'm working with people who are doing product. So it's cool because within Cultivate, I'm kind of like the product guy. So a lot of these people are working with marketing companies, PR companies, and I am too. I have a few marketing companies that I work with, but I'm mostly in the product, food and beverage, wellness, all this. And that's just because obviously that's my background, experience, and what I like. I just love products. And I think it's been it's been a little different for sure in terms of like advising people and kind of providing a service versus just strictly focusing on a certain product. But it's cool because it provides it provides a very like diverse set of things that I have to do and learn and know. And I just love I really like how much change is involved with what I'm doing versus just focusing on kind of like one product. So it's really cool.
It feels like multiple projects almost, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like a bunch of different projects going on. I mean, it's interesting because all businesses, like there are certain core things that are like true to all businesses. And so if you can do those things well, it applies across many, even different industries, so.
Yeah, it's true. But I feel like, when you work, let's just say in a CPG company, and you're building this company and you're talking about the technicalities of it and the recipe development, and obviously all these different things are, happening, and you consistently do the same thing over and over, rinse and repeat, but the outcomes are different. Maybe you have to tweak it a little. Mm-hmm. When you're working with different products, some may be CPG, some may not be, some may be different things. So you're always learning new things on how to bring different kinds of product to market, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I love that because I'm always doing some investigation around it. I'm always learning something new and connecting with new people and finding out different ways to make things happen. So it's sort of, for me, it's a lot of curiosity, and it just allows me to learn different things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, same thing. I love to learn. I have like I'm just a curious person, and I learn a ton from the different business owners that I work with. Mm-hmm. I learn from their industries. I learn from, and then also from Cultivate even. I'm learning from all these other advisors, and because we do a lot of cohorts internally where we're working together on business owners challenges, and then I'm learning from Cultivate itself, and they do a lot of training. And so, yeah, it is cool. I feel like I already went to school to get my MBA and starting Liquid IV, the School of Hard Knocks for entrepreneurs. And now I'm getting my like more service-based, like graduate degree, I guess you could say.
That's funny. I say the same thing. I ran a gaming company for many years, and I kept saying, I got mine on demand. Like I got mine while working my MBA. Totally. I didn't go to school for it, but I feel like I got it.
Yep. It's like throw you in the deep end and just figure out how to swim. But you learn as you go. You make mistakes and fail, and then you learn and you figure it out. So.
And in some ways, I'm not saying it's better or worse because they both have their place, right? But for me, I'm very much a person that learns by doing, by making the mistakes, by figuring it out. If somebody tells me, I can tune out, right? It's easy to tune out. But if I have to just physically do it or put pieces of the puzzle together, I'm participating in that act more. So I'm thinking about it, and it's more interactive. And so for me, that's what works.
Absolutely. I'm with you. My learning style, I'm a bit of a slow learner, I'll be honest. And my learning style is very in doing, in repeating and doing, and versus if I hear something or watch something, I'm not the type of person that just retains it that way.
Yeah, it goes one ear and out the other. I'm like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll hear it, but it's hard for me to like remember that until I do it and it becomes muscle memory, and then I really know, so I'm with you on that for sure.
Well, it was like when people used to tell you had to take notes, right, in class, or that, not that you had to, but you should take notes. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm so busy trying to see hear what they were saying or remember what they were saying 5 minutes ago that I lost what they're saying now. And I'm so busy writing it down that I'm not retaining it or taking it in.
It's hard.
I don't know how people do it. Thank God we can now record.
Right. Recording is huge. Yeah. You got to get really good at typing fast. I've gained that skill. That's actually a skill that I've gotten better at with Cultivate, because when I'm doing free advising sessions, when I'm listening to people, I have to be really good at taking notes, because otherwise I won't remember it. And I have to have those notes later. So I've definitely been better at that, but it is a challenge.
There's also a lot of information you're getting. You're talking to different people and you're getting pretty granular with them. And they're getting very good takeaways when they talk to you. So can you talk to us about that a little bit? Because that experience, I mean, I can speak to it from my end, but I feel like I'd be biased almost.
No, yeah. No, I think, I'll tell a little bit about kind of our process and what we do. And you've been through this. And so, so generally I will meet with people and do an initial call, kind of like a discovery call, where we'll talk through their business and kind of figure out what their challenges are. And I'll tell them a little bit more about myself and Cultivate. And that's usually like a 30-minute call. And then from there, that's kind of when we decide if it makes sense to do a 2-hour deep dive free advising session. And so in that 2-hour free advising session, we go a lot deeper and we really get into the business owner's needs, like what are their top needs in terms of for the business and what they would look for in an advisor. Then we kind of go through and talk about Cultivate and our process and how the one-on-one advising really works, and give a little bit of background more on myself and what I've done. And then from there, we spend most of the meeting really diving deep into the business. And we do some modeling where we're looking at financials and projections over, the next couple of years and modeling that out. And then from there, we build out a roadmap. And that's kind of the big thing that the business owners get to take away from that meeting, is they'll have a roadmap of all the priorities within the business and kind of within each of those hats of the business. So within financials and sales and marketing, recruiting, leadership, productivity, what are the areas that the business owners feels like are needing to be worked on or improved. And then from there, that's when we say, okay, let's come up with a plan and see if it makes sense to move forward and work together on that. So.
Well, I know you've worked with at least one of our founders at Next Gen Chef, Alana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She had wonderful things to say. She's like, oh my God, thank you. She was so excited about the impact it was having, because she was working to raise money and putting together her deck. And she said you really just helped tie things together and help her put together the financials and the deck in a way that she wasn't really able to do herself. I want to thank today's sponsor, Next Gen Chef. Next Gen Chef feeds members with the knowledge and tools that they need to create concepts with purpose and succeed. If you're listening today, they are offering a 1-year subscription for any new founder that wants to participate at a special discounted rate. For more information, email team@nextgenchef.com. If you're interested in becoming a member or just a part of the community, email NextGenChef at team@nextgenchef.com. You can also follow them on Instagram @NextGenChef, as well as on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Thank you again, Next Gen Chef, for making this podcast possible. Together, we can change the future of food.
Yeah, it's been great to work with Alana. It's super cool, great product, fun concept, and I've been helping her with, like you said, building out financials, looking at sales forecasts, we built out her deck, and now fundraising and doing all these different things. So, and then working on her sales process and how she's communicating with the different, store owners and things that she's talking to. So Yeah, it's been cool, and thank you for that introduction. That was great, and I've absolutely loved working with her. So
Okay, I'm glad. Well, I'm gonna have to circle back with you. We need some more. We need to revisit ours so that we can just discuss where we are and how we're moving forward. I'm sure I always walk away with something when I talk to you. I'm super inspired, and
cool.
there's so much to do, and having somebody to talk to about that and really take a deep dive and figure out what you want to focus on is so helpful, because when there's so many different channels, you become ineffective because you're not really focusing on where the funnel is at this moment. You're focusing on all these opportunities, which are great to have, but it's important to prioritize. And so by understanding what the financial model looks like, by understanding how you're going to grow, it allows you to put things in perspective and plan accordingly and be able to have a greater impact from my perspective.
Yeah. It can be hard as a business owner to focus. There are so many fires and so many opportunities. And so you get this shiny ball or shiny object syndrome, and you're like, go there, go there, go there. And so, yeah, a lot of what we do is coming from an outsider's perspective, and having a chance to work with the business owners on working on the business versus always being in it. And so it's always great to take that second to just come out and look at it from a higher 30,000 foot view, and align on what are the priorities, and so having done this multiple times now, it's helpful for business owners to hear from us on, asking the right questions and digging into like what are the real priorities and where to take things from there. So
what are some of the right questions business owners can ask themselves as they're trying to put some of this together for themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a couple are, looking at your vision, like where do you want this to be in 5 years? Like, do you, what do you enjoy doing? What are you passionate about? What do you think is the best path for the business to grow revenue and be profitable? I'm really big on, looking at the vision, and then from there kind of diving into what are the biggest needs now? So like, what are your top two business needs now? And everything else is noise. And so it's like, it really comes down to like a lot of times aligning just on one thing. Like, what's the one thing you need to be doing right now, or what the one thing you need to be focusing on? Everything else, it's a lot of times you break up how a business owner is spending their time, and they're like, 70% on social media doing this. And then I'm like, is that driving sales? Is that doing this? And maybe probably not. And so you might be focusing your time in the wrong spot. Whereas if you were going out, making calls to retailers or going door to door or focusing on your email marketing or whatever, there's different things you can be doing. So a good thing to do is sit down and look at how you're spending your time, and then decide if that's directly driving the business forward or not.
Can you share, without maybe giving up a name, because I don't want to impose on anybody's privacy. Right. Can you share maybe a client that you have or a story from a client on the impact that they've had by working with you, and how it's positively changed the impact that, where their business is going? So by working with you, how has it impacted their business to be able to positively move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a lot of examples. I'll probably just not name names, but I think one example is like, one business owner, spending a lot of time on her social media and doing that's kind of the example I was just telling you about. But really, she's like focusing all of her time on like her organic social, whereas she should be focusing her time on like her website and actually driving sales there and getting her products into retail, things that are going to directly impact revenue growth. And then also coming to the realization like, oh, we need to raise money. And so let's go out and let's put together an investor deck. Let's put together the financials. There are a lot of these pieces that you sometimes don't have as a business owner if you're doing it on your own. And so I think that's one of the biggest impacts that we have is especially for me, has been working with business owners who are on their own and they don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of or talk things through. And so kind of Atlanta is an example of that, where she's all on her own. And so she's like, you don't know what you don't know. And she's trying her best. And and so sometimes in a few of those businesses, we came to the realization of, this is what cash flow looks like, and this is potentially in 6 months or a year or whatever, this is when you're going to be out of funds, so we need to raise money now. And so I think a lot of it is, and those things take time too. So raising money takes a lot of time. So that's something you always got to get started on sooner rather than later, just because it takes so long to put together the deck and have good financials and actually go out and start getting people to invest. So.
And from your perspective, how can people know if they're ready to? People often say, I'm not ready to go raise, or I am ready to raise, or you have to wait, you have to be in a certain position. Are there any key points or milestones that you can share so that people may be able to pinpoint whether or not they're in the right place to take that next step?
In respect to fundraising?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to a couple things. It's how fast do you want to grow? What are your growth plans in terms of how much inventory you need, how much human capital? I think a lot of it comes down to like looking at your budget and deciphering it there. I use a cash flow model with every client I work with, and a forecasting cash flow model. And so we forecast out what the cash looks like, how much money in the bank, how much debt, what are sales every month, what are we forecasting those out to be? And then if there are large expenses coming up, large inventory expenses or whatever, and then we kind of decide, all right, do we want to go about it through giving up equity, or are we going to do it through debt? Are we going to get some, working capital that way, lines of credit? There are a lot of factors that kind of make you impact your decision there. But I think the biggest thing is, one of the biggest things is like, a lot of businesses in the like CPG brands and food brands in the past, like 10 years have really been like focused on high revenue growth and like high spend to grow for an exit. And I think there's a slightly different approach happening now with a lot of brands where they're actually more focused on profitability sooner. And so I definitely try to promote that in terms of like focusing on profitability versus super high spend and super quick growth there. And just being a little bit leaner and a little bit smarter, and kind of growth hacking your way to increasing that revenue to a point where your business is profitable and growing. So I think it's different. It's different with they're each different. Everyone's
that I think, and I think you shared that. Just a couple things for people to think about as they're determining what their next steps are. And I think that you just gave us a couple illustrations that are perfect for them to just tap into before they call you, before they go off and raise, as a way to just determine where they are and what they want to do as the next step.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like, where are you now? And what's your cash position? Where do you want to get to, and however many years, like in terms of sales, volume, retailers, all this. And then, how much money is it going to take you in between that? And it's really about how fast you want to go. The more cash you get into the business, the quicker you're probably going to be able to scale. So it's,
right.
That's
how do you think COVID has played into all this, or more specifically, how has COVID played into you advising businesses? What have you seen?
Yeah, I think early on COVID was tough for us as a service-based business where people are paying us, on a monthly basis. And so people, especially when it was happening early on, were with like holding back on spending, which is actually, we were advising people on hold on to your cash, and like, because we don't know what this is going to be like, except for in terms of marketing. We told people to keep spending on marketing because we want you need to grow your business. So I think it was tough at first, and people were very like spooked and uncertain. And then I think, towards the middle of, well, it's still obviously ongoing, but kind of after a couple months in, it started to actually level out for us and pick back up in terms of being able to help people and start planning for 2021 and plan in helping people in terms of getting, helping them recover or pivot their business, if they were in the event space or if they're in a restaurant or whatever, like figuring out creative ways to help them generate revenue. I think with a lot of and this is common, and you can read this anywhere, but the big theme with CPG and food and beverage also is that like e-commerce kind of did really well, is taken off. And so Retail has actually done well for brands that are in there, but it's been hard for newer brands or whatever to get shelf space because of supply chain has been a challenge. And so a lot of these retailers haven't been, launching new brands and stuff. So that has been a challenge, I guess, for new brands, is getting into retail. But for all those, I mean, my recommendation is to focus on e-commerce, focus on Amazon, doing through focusing on your digital marketing, being creative there, and focusing on that growth for now until you're able to get into some of these other retailers and expand that way. So
I think that's great. Those are great recommendations. And I'm just curious, is there anything that you learned from Liquid IV that you share with people that might help them in this journey?
A lot of things.
Share 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So let's see. I've learned a ton. I think one of the biggest things is I highly recommend brands try to figure out a way to incorporate a social impact into their company, whether that be a 1-for-1 giving or a percentage of proceeds, or even if it's just within the company culture of them being out in the community and doing work and helping out, or hiring women and people of color and through diversity. There's a lot of things that you can do there that are super impactful and important. And I think in today's day and age, it's like super important to be cognizant of that and to be trying to make positive change in the world. And so I think what I learned through what we did and my recommendation to businesses nowadays is just to like do good and give back. And so in doing that, you're going to attract people to you and your brand, and you're going to also help the world be a better place. So that's big. I think another thing I've learned similarly is like trying to be as sustainable as possible. And so that's something that I recommend all brands I'm working with, and Liquid IV is working towards being more sustainable and with packaging and just everything in general, trying to cut down on waste and plastic and things like that. So
just to add to your sustainability point, we had a call yesterday about building sustainable brands, but we took it in a different direction, not just as building a sustainable product, but building a sustainable business. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's really important to incorporate a culture that's also sustainable, because if we wear out our people and we wear out our practices, we're not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I think that's just another thing to throw out there. When people are busy building their businesses and their values are around building a sustainable product and a regenerative product, also to look inwards at the business that they're building.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah. Super important to practice what you preach, and also, incorporate that into your culture of just being sustainable at home, here, in the office, everywhere. And
it's
just
a challenge now with COVID, right? I mean,
it's hard. Yeah.
Working from home, I don't think Tim, my partner, has taken a day off in months. Mm-hmm. That's not a sustainable way to work. I mean, that's not sustainable at all.
So that brings me to my second or third point about what I've learned is that you really have to take care of yourself and take time off and rest and recover. And I'm big on sleep, hydration, not just because of Liquid IV, but with water in general too. Sleep, hydrate, and just rest and get off of digital and get off your phone, and when you can, and get off social media and things like that, when you can, and be out in nature. So those are some of the things that I think I didn't do enough of when I was at Liquid IV, and kind of got, burnt out over time in just being in that hustle and grind and not taking good enough care of myself. Exercise is the other big piece of that too. And so now I definitely promote that to people, is like, get your sleep, hydrate, eat healthy, take care of yourself as much as you can, and don't just like work yourself into the grave. Otherwise you're going to lose that passion a little bit. So
I would agree. So I know that we are still during COVID and things are challenging for everyone. Yeah. And I know that you work with a lot of startups. Is there anything that we can't predict the future, but as you're working with them, how are you helping them plan for 2021 in such uncertain times?
Yeah, it's it's tough, but I think this is kind of the new normal. And so you just have to plan, like, this is the way it's going to be. And so it's, plan for the worst, or plan for this to continue. And that's, plan for the worst, hope for the best, I guess is the phrase. But yeah, we started planning for 2021 now with all our business owners, and we're coming up with creative revenue generation strategies, continuing to be conservative with cash, except for marketing, and trying to kind of there were a lot of dips, a lot of companies with big dips this year, especially in service industries. And so
not completely unexpected, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just nothing you can do about that. And not only just service industry, but like restaurants and coffee shops, everyone's been hit. So hotels, yeah, travel, like tourism, everything. It's just been absolutely hammered. So, hopefully, I'm hoping that maybe next year, things will start to open back up a bit, and maybe vaccine or whatever. But I think the way I've been planning with people is like just plan like it's continuing as is, and we just have to be creative and continue to innovate or die. So
I would say, I think that that's a smart way to plan for the future, and it's the only way we can plan for the future.
Yeah.
As we come to the top of the hour here, because I know that we're tight on time, I just want to ask, how do you hope to, what's the impact you hope to have on the future of food?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Yeah. I mean, I think I see, so a couple things. I'm big on food as preventative medicine. So I think personally, I've been exploring all sorts of healthier foods, adaptogens, mushrooms, all sorts of really cool things that are great for you. Good stuff for gut health, prebiotic, probiotic drinks and things like that. So I love seeing the innovation that's coming out of like food and beverage companies there. And so, yeah, I think I'll continue to promote that. My family has a big, has a farm and ranch in northern Nevada that, and my sister's very big on regenerative agriculture. So I think a big key to solving a lot of our climate issues and food issues is going to be in regenerating the soil. And so I've, through my sister, been doing a lot of research and seeing a lot of like, it's not always about the, it's a lot of it's the types of ways that we're doing things in terms of farming and cattle and all these things.
What we're putting in the soil, what we're feeding the cows,
the fertilizers and the way we have them. It's not, we kind of need to go back to like older ways of doing things where it's much more localized and much more, I shouldn't be picking up food that was, handpicked in, like the Philippines and then packed in like in somewhere else, another country and sent over here. It just makes no sense. So I think, fixing our supply chains in a way that's much more like localized and centralized, and then, stop relying so heavily on fertilizers and all these different things, and trying to repair our kind of agricultural system is I'm passionate about that. So see if there's ways that I can help in that area that will potentially also help out with, climate change and all sorts of things. So
wonderful. Well, I love that mission. I love that's really in line with what we're trying to proactively promote here. And also give people an opportunity to learn from everybody, from each other, and your perspective, my perspective, our other guests, thought leaders, to be able to inspire change and change the narrative and the demand for better for you food. Do you have anything that you'd like to offer our listeners today, to the startups out there, to the founders out there that may want to connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest thing I could say is just, dream big and go for it. And, don't give up. Just keep pushing, keep fighting, and find creative ways to solve your problems. That's the biggest one. Just go for it, and believe in yourself, and be confident in yourself, and you will see some success.
And if they wanted to reach out to you, they can text you, I guess, through the Next Gen Chef app. They can text or email through the Next Gen Chef app, because I believe Hayden's up there. If not, I'm sure he'll join ASAP. It's a good way to connect one-on-one with each other and see how access all the resources that Next Gen Chef has. So for those listeners that joined us today for Essential Ingredients, I want to thank you. I want to thank Hayden for joining us and sharing his story. both on IV fluid and on the services and the resources he provides today with Cultivate. He's a great resource to other founders, both as a ex-founder and as a resource and an expert in the industry. So if you like this podcast and you want to subscribe to the Essential Ingredients podcast, we can be found on iHeartRadio and Apple, or iTunes rather, sorry, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and all the other channels. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was great.